I'm Professor Neerav Mehta from LG Institute of Technology and Engineering. Today we are going to discuss about subject called automobile system design. In this particular subject, we are going to discuss about topic called transmission system. Transmission system and its design. So let's discuss about transmission system. Transmission system is all about when our engine is feeding power to drive or create a tractive effort or to our vehicle. Clear? So mainly this deal with how to propagate or how to start or how to create a movement in our vehicle. Clear? So ultimately, this particular session will going to introduce you towards our transmission drive. Now let's talk about this. There are two types of transmission drive right now available in the market. One is automatic transmission system, second is manual transmission system. In today's topic, we are going to discuss about both of them as well as we are going to emphasize on manual transmission system. When we are talking about transmission system, why it is required? This transmission system is required to create enough torque or you can say tractive effort in terms of power that to propagate our vehicle by converting our RPM in terms of torque. Clear? This particular transmission system is help us to create that enough amount of torque. Now let's talk about this. Engine has sufficient power at its maximum. Clear? So the RPM of engine at maximum power will going to be constant. So we have to convert that maximum RPM in terms of torque so that we can have combination of different loading condition at the same time the combination of RPM as well as torque. Clear? So let's move on to this. What are the different parts of this transmission system? So there are multiple parts of this transmission system. It is start from clutch, gearbox, propeller shaft, universal joints, final drive and differential and ultimately rear axle. Clear? The main and major part is gearbox which provides a different output gear ratio for our single input drive system. So gearbox is nothing but automobile gearbox is nothing but a, a single input and multiple output system. Clear? In that case, our clutch will provide engagement and disengagement of our drive line while we are changing our gear ratio. Clear? And then it will feed it that power to a propeller shaft through a universal joint and ultimately reduction takes place in our final drive and differential which is propagating the power towards our rear axle. Clear? I hope you got this point. What is the introduction to our this is what introduction to our transmission system. Let's now move on to what is a transmission system exactly is. Here you can see a word of a diagram or you can say a proper image of transmission system which has different multiple parts for that. This mechanism is deployed to transfer power clear from driving a driving line to driven line or you can say to propagate our vehicle from engine to final drive. Clear? I hope you got this point. What is our system? Now let's talk about what are the different parts consist in our in a transmission system. If it is a manual transmission system, then we will have a gear drive or gear train. Clear? If it is having a CVT, then we will have a pulley belt combination, and if it is total automatic transmission, then it will be a epicyclic gear train. Here you can see the image of a manual transmission system, which is have shaft, main shaft, input shaft. One is lay shaft, where our different combination of gears are there, and then output shaft, which is providing a power to our driven line, as well as it is having a mounting on a bearing. At the same time, it will also have a dog clutch which can help to create to change different types of combination or ratio. Now let's talk about types of gear which are going to use in this kind of gearbox. Mainly we are going to use a helical types of a gearbox which can provide higher torque at a high, and at the same time it can provide at the same time higher speed too. So it will going to have a combination of helical gears which can be connected or which can be controlled by manually. Clear? So I hope you got this manual transmission system. Now next slide. What are the different requirements to have our transmission system? So one first one is it provides a connection and disconnection between engine with the rest of the powertrain. Clear? This is the first requirement of transmission system. Transmission system is just not a consist of a gearbox, but also it consists of a clutch. So it is a function of a clutch to engage and disengage our engine from our transmission line. Okay? At the same time, it will provide a leverage between engine and the driving wheels. It also provide engine leverage between engine as well as at the same time as well as the driving wheel. Means it will provide a magnification of our driving ratio while we are working on different load conditions. At the same time, it will provide power in opposite direction also while we are turning or while we are reversing our vehicle. It also enables power transmission to varied angle and varied length. Now, if I am having any kind of change in my working condition, then it should be providing at power ratio at any condition. Yeah, it is also provide reduction ratio which is higher like 5/1. It should also provide this kind of a reduction ratio. Clear? At the same time, it will provide a diversion at right angles and provide means of drive to driving wheels at a different speed when required. Means we are having different types of loading condition. If suppose if I am working on 1200 rpm, and if I want to convert that rpm in terms of maximum torque, then I have to find particular number of or particular amount of rpm to design my transmission system. Clear? Like if I want to have 701 rpm, then your gearbox should provide that amount of rpm for particular torque. I hope you got this idea very well how this means. The ideal gearbox should provide infinite number of gear ratio for infinite number of loading condition and infinite number of RPM. I hope you got this point because the main function of gearbox is to provide this infinite number of combinations. Yeah? Next point. What is a manual transmission system is all about? In this type of transmission system, the driver has to manually select. Now, in automatic or CVT gearbox, you can have that infinite number of velocity or gear ratio. But in manual gearbox, there is a limitation which is depending on a driver, which can the change the gear ratio depending on a driving condition which is experienced by that particular driver. Clear? How it will going to be achieved? It will going to achieve with the help of clutch engagement and disengagement. Once again, let's repeat this. What is the difference between the major difference between automatic transmission gearbox and manual transmission? In automatic transmission gearbox, you can have infinite number of combination of gear ratio or velocity ratio. But in the case of manual transmission system, the gear ratio should be selected by a driver manually by experiencing what type of load and what amount of speed which is required to that particular vehicle. How it can be achieved? It can be achieved with the help of a lever as well as clutch. Now, what is the operation for that? First, it will fully press the clutch, then provide the required combination, then it provide required amount of by slipping of a clutch. It provide different sufficient amount of acceleration to our system, and ultimately clutch fully release to engage our driven and driven system. I hope you got this particular idea about manual transmission system. Let's talk about this how automatic and manual transmission system differs from each other. Automatic and manual transmission differs from each other on a basic point, which is in which the automatic transmission is providing you infinite gear ratio, whereas manual transmission can't provide you a infinite gear ratio. I hope you got each and every point in this particular session. If you are having any kind of problem regarding to this, you can contact me. Clear? This was your introduction to transmission system. Clear? This is the basic criteria and this is the basic concept of your transmission system. Clear? I hope you enjoyed the session very well. Clear? And this particular session is taken from Auto Design by RB Gupta. It is you can say it is more of an introductory session towards this auto transmission system. I hope you got each and every point very well. Clear? Thank you so much. I'm stopping.